were sitting there. We're driving down the Lamar Valley, right by that little ranger station out there in the Lamar Valley, and we're stopped on the road. And Jared's like, "There's a coyote," because he could see it from his side of the car. I couldn't see it, because where it's at. It was like 3 cars just parked there. He's running in and out of these cars, like right in front of us. Kind of like I think he was getting a little stressed out because like one car probably showed up and was watching him. He was fine with it because he was on the road doing his thing, and then he kind of looped back around, and now there's more cars, and I think he's kind of stressed himself out, and then he ran down into the snow and kind of away off the road. And we can wander our way over, because this is Wandering Ways.
What's Bigfoot possibility? Clink.
Oh man, it feels like we just did this.
Yeah. No, totally. How you doing?
Good. But to me, I like that. I like that feeling because it's like we're making a habit of this. We're having a good time every week. Your Wandering Ways podcast is coming out. You can hear our sweet, sweet voices. Yeah. And if you are on YouTube, check out our faces. If not, don't. It's totally up to you. I've been told I have a voice for radio, so.
I'm told it's like having me in the room when you listen to it. So.
Good. I like that. I haven't got any personal comments yet, really. So please shoot us an email. We would appreciate it. I'm getting a little self-conscious here that you guys haven't sent us an email yet. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask you, man. I was scrolling the Instagram feeds this morning, and the page Nat Geo, National Geographic, kind of famous. I don't know if you remember the little yellow books they used to send out, I think monthly, with the different stories of the world. And
you mean magazines?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to call them a book. It's a magazine. And I think the magazines are still a thing.
Well, they were a little bit bigger, so that's why I call them little books.
Oh. I think you can get them on like a Kindle nowadays.
Yeah, I think they are
to Kindle.
Primarily online, and you can still get that was my dream job, not kidding you, growing up, is like I would have loved to be a photographer for Nat Geo. Or work for them in any manner because they do good work. But today I saw an article on Instagram about these ice stupas in Asia, and if you're familiar with what a stupa is, it's those like you look at like those videos of like Bhutan and those temples, and it's like the really tall like skinny building like that's next to the temple.
Yeah,
those are called like stupas. And that's what this looks like, but it's ice and it's water at the top just forming. So it's just a bunch of icicles all the way down. So it's really cool. They're doing it because over time, the water from the glaciers has gotten a lot smaller because of climate change, and they need water to survive. And so they've installed these ice stupas up high in these mountains where you would create more glacial water.
Yeah.
In order to create more water for themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it was a really cool read this morning, and I was super excited. I'm actually going to right now, before I forget, I'm going to make sure I send it to you because it was one of those reads that I was like,
Yeah, I'm interested. I kind of want to read it.
Like good people doing good things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I meant to actually watch this last night because there was like a screening, and then they were going to have like a Q&A with the director, the film panel. But it comes from the same people that did the Kiss the Ground documentary, which if anybody has not seen it, I think it's still out on Netflix right now. It's about the soil, and it is absolutely fantastic in how we need to take care of our soil. But I digress.
You're saying Kiss the Ground?
That's the one that's on Netflix. The one that I wanted to watch yesterday was called Gather. And actually, you might actually really enjoy this.
It's also on Netflix.
No, I don't think it is. I have to look it up. I meant to watch it last night because they were going to have like a screening and then a Q&A. But it's called Gather, and it goes into some Native American culture. They actually talked to some tribes around. I think there was one in Northern California, one in South Dakota, and then there's one other state. I can't remember what it was, but I really meant to because it sounded interesting. It was talking about living off the land type deal, and since it's from the same people that do the Kiss the Ground, it's going to be really environmental in that aspect of it. So, I'm hoping I can find a link or something to watch it.
I'm gonna have to check that out myself. I'm not sure if you are aware.
Let Matt know too.
I will. Gather. I wrote them down. I got a plane ride later today, so I'm downloading some videos on my iPad to watch on the plane.
Yeah.
Which will be fun. But another good one episode as we're along these awesome lines of good Netflix shows to watch. This one isn't on Netflix. I found it on PBS Odyssey, so it's easy to find. And I'm blanking on what it's called, but it's about kind of where we come from.
Get all excited and then boom, nothing.
I'll remember it. Or maybe Life of Odyssey. The Odyssey of Life. That's what it's called. Oh. Odyssey of Life, not PBS Odyssey. The Odyssey of Life. Yeah.
Odyssey of Life.
And it's a kind of about where humans come from. And we talk with our Bigfoot research expert, Rick Relis, the other day.
Yeah, no, I think that one was like a month ago.
Oh, well, the other day, a month ago, it all flies by to me.
Yeah.
But to me, this kind of goes into the conversation where I believe he thinks Bigfoot is one of those creatures that is maybe also similar to man in DNA, where we're walking along with. And this Life of Odyssey goes into that a little bit of like the Clovis people coming over on the Bering Land Strait, the first man found in Africa, the Hawaiians and the way they use those canoes and communicate with the stars, and the way we kind of spread out as man, and the different links along the way, as well as the genomes and what we did here. And it's really good.
Does it start at the point of when we started to spread out, or does it start at the before?
You go in a little into depth about the African people, where they believe that life or man first began, and it carries on over into like it starts spreading out. And what really turned me onto it, and I think I talked about it on the podcast, is there's a professor. He was working at Montana State University, and when I was a park ranger back at Pompey's Pillar, we had a meeting of the Park Service, us at Pompey's Pillar, I want to say Bighorn Canyon National Recreation Area Rangers were there. Some of Yellowstone Park Rangers were there. Yellowstone Forever, which is a great organization, was there, and people from the Lewis and Clark Historical Trail. And we were giving presentations and stuff on how to communicate culture properly when telling stories, when telling indigenous stories in the parks, because there are few stories that we can share with one another, especially when it comes to Native Americans and our indigenous pasts. There's certain stories that you can share, and there's certain stories you can't. For example, down in the Southwest, you have the Kiva ceremonies that a lot of the Pueblo people do. No non-Pueblo person has really ever been in a Kiva. That's one of those things you don't really hear the stories from. But like when I'm telling you the story of creation and the old lady digging stick in Yellowstone Park, that's free for that's free up for grabs, in the sense of sharing it. It's sharing it in the right way, is sharing it in an educated way, and also depends on how you're telling your story point, right? Like, for example, me telling the story, I have a little more tie to the Native American culture and history because I have that education and backing. But if you just know the story, that's how you're supposed to tell the stories. Like, this was told to me. This is how it was told to me. Here's the story. So it's training in that sense. And we go into discussion. It's The Great Human Odyssey. That's the name of it. I knew I'd come up with it.
The Great Human Odyssey.
And he one of the professors, he was a Crow guy. He came up to this thing, and we presented, and we went to like Sheep Eater Cliff, Obsidian Cliff, some teepee rings in Yellowstone Park, and we kind of just talked about it, and shared, he shared his stories and knowledges, and he shared along with me that this documentary and kind of about it and the Clovis people, and which is really interesting. If you're Native American and you take a DNA test, 97.5 Native Americans who take DNA tests have ancestral DNA linking back to the Clovis people, who were the people who came over on the Bering Land Strait. So kind of like there's that type of evidence now in 2020 where we can take DNA data and say like, no, we can tell these were the people that came over. And they end up actually excavating a little boy. And I say little boy, I mean, he's thousands of years old at this point. But,
Yeah.
The skeleton was of a little boy in the Bozeman area of a Clovis person in this documentary. It's really good. I like it. It really helps me kind of layer the Bigfoot missing link story with humans and where we've come from and our genes and DNA and how we've changed over the years.
Yeah.
If you're not into that or a believer, sorry.
I just finished reading a book called Fossil Man, which I've talked about on here before. But they talk about, or their quest in it, they end up finding like the oldest whole skeleton ever found. They have found fossils of like older humanoids, but this is a full skeleton that they found like back in like the 80s, but they didn't publish it till I want to say like 2000s because they were just doing a bunch of research and stuff on it. But anyway, they're looking for where the chimpanzee humanoid split happened, so like our closest ancestors are the African apes, which is like the gorillas, chimpanzees. Some people also think maybe orangutans in there too, but they're looking for like the split when chimpanzees went chimpanzees and humanoids went to Homo sapiens. And so like this skeleton that they found is like Ardipithecus, which it's like crazy because they described how the skeleton and like what they think it was doing or like how it lived. And it was like a bipedal, so it was walking on like ground, but it also had an opposable big toe, so like a thumb for us, so it could climb trees really well. And one of the big differences between like chimpanzees and humans is we don't have an opposable toe. We have just a big, sturdy, strong toe that helps us push off for speed and whatnot. And they think this Ardipithecus had like a combo of like a strong, sturdy toe, but also opposable so they could climb trees. So they think it's like a combo of that. And so I was just curious because there's one point in the evolution of humans past Ardipithecus to Australopithecus, something like that, that humanoids started to spread out. So we used to be these tree-dwelling creatures. We go from the tree to like a hybrid to now, there's some point that they're trying to figure out when we spread out.
Okay, so
the other continents.
The documentary, The Great Human Odyssey, again, corrected. That's kind of where they start, is they start with some of the tribal people, and I believe it's in Kenya. They go to some of the current present day tribal people, and they talk about a practice that they use today that they've been using for thousands of years, and they get these like gourds of water, or not gourds, but they're ostrich eggs. They look like gourds, right?
Yeah.
They hold water, and they break a hole in the ostrich egg, and they go bury it. Like, okay, we're going to walk a mile, bury one here. Okay, come back, walk further mile, bury one here. So they could build self-sustaining water along the way, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's something today that they still do in kind of like a ceremonial way, it sounds like, as well as a way of survival a little bit too. But they believe that is what kind of started this travel, this mass travel you're talking. Like, they were able to leave the desert, leave Africa.
Yeah, so they think it happened when like the genus became Homo. So, we're Homo sapiens. So like when we got the Homo part, that's when we started using tools. That's like, when we became the Homos, that's when we started using tools a lot. So it would make sense, the ostrich eggs, that's essentially a tool.
Yep. And I think the first skeleton they find, it's Nelly, right? Or is it Nelly?
There's the oldest one they have is Artie, and then the second oldest full skeleton they have is Lucy.
Lucy, that's who I'm thinking of, and I think that's the Homo one.
No, that's like Australopithecus or something.
Oh,
that's the one in between Homo and Ardipithecus.
Okay. Yeah.
And that one was found in like the 50s, in the for the longest time, or 50s, 60s, and for the longest time they thought that was the oldest humanoid. But that one they didn't have that opposable big toe, so they were just bipedal at that point.
Yeah. No, and I think that's what they go into on a little bit on this documentary, because I remember Lucy being definitely worth the watch. I think you should watch it. I just googled it, Great Human Odyssey, and it's PBS. Watched it. I put Tyler on it one night. Actually, while I think that's why I talk about it, is we were recording the podcast. He was downstairs watching it. It's a good one. I like it. But that's not the only thing we're talking about today.
I know, right?
Which is kind of cool.
No, because you recently got to go experience some snow in one of our favorite places.
Exactly. And, for me, this is my first time in Yellowstone Park in December. And kind of, I live, say 100 miles away from the park. Like,
yeah,
I haven't been in there in December, and it's the accessibility in the park sucks. Really, you got to experience it before I did in West Yellowstone.
Yeah,
and that's the place to be. And to get to West Yellowstone from Billings is a bitch in the winter. You have to go through Bozeman and then go down that pass as if you're going to Big Sky, and I've had some dicey encounters on that road. Not good driving experiences for me. We lived. I'm here today, so we're good. No accidents or anything like that. Just really icy and scary. And when you're when you're in your brakes and you're sliding into the other lane, and there's a semi truck in that other lane, not a good day.
No.
But we dodged it. We're fine. We're here. But yeah, so I was able to go into the park, and I took Jared with me, because I asked him, I was like, when's the last time you've been to Yellowstone? He goes, fucking like 15 years ago, 10 years ago. I was like, what? Like, well, get in the car. So he got in the car with me. We got into the park, got into the Lamar Valley. Beautiful. I'm talking picturesque scenery, snow for days.
Yeah, I bet.
The wildlife was out and about. There were wolfers doing their wolf thing, sitting there with their spotting scopes. We debated doing that, but we were just like, I don't really want to do the wolf thing, like sit there and watch. If a wolf runs by me, sure. But we did that. We came across a coyote, and it was actually kind of interesting. We were sitting there. We were driving down the Lamar Valley, right by that little ranger station out there in the Lamar Valley, and we're stopped on the road. And Jared's like, "There's a coyote," because he could see it from his side of the car. I couldn't see it, because where it's at. It was like 3 cars just parked there. He's running in and out of these cars, like right in front of us. Kind of like I think he was getting a little stressed out because like one car probably showed up and was watching him. He was fine with it because he was on the road doing his thing, and then he kind of looped back around, and now there's more cars, and I think he's kind of stressed himself out. And then he ran down into the snow and kind of away off the road, and it was really cool to see that up close, like really close to a coyote. And that was that same coyote on our way back when we turned around, came back down the Lamar Valley. He was hunting field mice, and I actually got to see him jump and like hunt the mice. And you're like, oh my gosh, like to see a coyote do that, never seen that before. So it was really cool, and got some all right pictures of that. But the problem is the sun was behind him, so he's very shaded.
Oh yeah.
From our viewpoint, but it's still really cool to witness and see. And then from there, we even saw a fox doing the same thing.
Yeah, the fox would be cool.
It was. Well, it's one of those things you see it in like Planet Light, our Planet Earth, all these like documentaries. That's one of the biggest things you see is the fox hunting mice.
Yep.
And I mean, I thought like Planet Earth makes it seem like, okay, yeah, they hunt one and then they're done. No, he was out there. We probably saw him catch 12 different, voles or mice.
Oh wow!
In the 45 minutes we were sitting there.
Yeah.
And he just like he'd go from one spot, he'd sit there, and you just see the ears, and they just look like little satellites. The way they adjust and the way he'd move his head, and like just hear the mice. I don't know if you've ever seen my dog Benny. He has similar ears to a fox. So he does the same thing at my parents' house when he's hunting mice. You see his ears and the way he turns his head and tilts his head, and you're just like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. But the fox was doing that, and then he would gear up. He would like bend back. You're like, okay, when are you gonna jump? And then boom, he'd just do it. And it's slow. It's slower than you would think, It's like I'm going to get up. It's the like cat pouncing being quiet.
Yeah.
Really cool to watch. And I mean, here's a few pictures I have where he's holding the mice right in his mouth, and
that's legit.
It was cool. And Jared was sitting on the spotting scope, getting his phone camera, sitting right there on the spotting scope. It was really cool to watch. Didn't see no bears, but I think they're hibernating this time of year anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say it'd be odd to see one.
That's why I wanted to see one, because it would be odd. Got to have another buffalo experience. Kind of drove into the park and sat in a herd. They were kind of doing their thing, pushing the snow at their heads.
Yeah.
And then the one man, he loving it with a sign.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He was sitting there, we're just watching, and he came back to it like a couple times, and he was just sitting there just dicking around at this sign because you could move it, so his antler, he's sitting there just picking it up.
Maybe he had an itch, man.
But he's doing it with his horn.
Maybe he had like a little itch where it connects, and that was just kind of hitting that spot somehow.
Maybe. It was weird. But I made a joke of it and said, he was adjusting the sign. So in the video, you hear me go a little bit more to the left. But no, it was good. It was really good. The wildlife, beautiful. Then we hot springed it at Yellowstone Hot Springs.
Oh, jealous. I love hot springs.
Well, and now that I've been there twice, it's one of those ones where it's like we probably should have taken everybody this summer when we were in Yellowstone. Even though what we did was great and fine, don't get me wrong, I still had a blast and I wouldn't change it. But I was like, now being there, because they have a cool down pool. They call it like the polar plunge pool.
Yeah.
where like you get real cold and then you get in the hot spring.
Yeah,
They have
that's the shit I like. It's
yeah.
going back and forth, getting real cold, getting real hot.
Well, and it's right there in Yankee Jim Canyon, like right in the canyon.
Oh, that's kind of dope.
And the river's right below you. You can't really see the river because they fence it in, but it's a cool little spot. They have a big hot pool. They have the cool pool. They have the normal, like the 100-degree hot spring, but it ranges in temperature because the cool pool and both the hot pool did pour into the water, into the main pool. It's really cool. And then they even have like a little really hot foot walk.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what it does or why it's there, but it's there.
Yeah. No, it's something I think if I had when I head back out that way, I want to go because I mean, shoot, I love hot springs anyway. So
well, another good hot spring if you guys are in the Montana area that I really preach a lot about. I want to take you to because I know, like, if there's like Mark's Hot Spring, you know, like if there's the like one, it's this one. It's called Norris Hot Springs. It's just west of Bozeman. And like the drive to get there is arguably, and I've done this drive at like sunset on like a nice winter day when you get like the really orange sunset. It is just beautiful. And they don't really have a fence. They have a fence, but it's not like an open, it's like a barbed wire fence, you know, where you can see through it.
Yeah.
And the river is right there. So you can really see the river. It's a wooden hot spring.
Mm.
You know, it's very kind of like rickety in that sense, but not like oh kind of hey this is sketchy, but like rickety in the sense of like no, this is like how it used to be and how like like hot springs in like the you know maybe like 30 40 50 years ago would kind of feel and be.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
I really want to take you there. Maybe we just do like a hot springs tour of Montana.
Just find all the hot springs and go down. I'd be down for that. I'd be totally down for that. We could probably like a whole hot springs road trip.
Oh, there probably is already one mapped out, you know?
Yeah, probably in reality.
Yeah, I'm on board. But yeah, other than that, like great day in the park. Just that seeing that fox and coyote alone hunting was just like,
well, you know, I think you're talking about it. I think it's time to give out. Hello, my wanderers. Before we get going with this episode of the podcast, I do just want to remind you guys to check out our other social medias, the YouTube, the Instagram, the Teespring to get that swag. Make sure to check us out individually. Zach Gray of Quartz Lake, Zach Gray, the Rougarou. Make sure you check out myself, Reverend Marcus, all that fun stuff. The links are below in the bio. All you gotta do is click that bio, look for it, and boom, you're on your way. Make sure if you guys want to be part of the podcast or questions to be heard on the podcast, email us at wanderingwayspodcast@gmail.com or quartzlakeproductions@gmail.com. We love the feedback. We love the input. All of it is amazing. And we love you guys for listening. It's awesome. So let's keep wandering on. That Wandering Way Review.
WWR.
The WWR.
Not to be confused with that W2 or WWW.
Exactly. But, you know, it's our new recurring segment. We've been had it for a couple months now. But this is for your trip to Yellowstone in the winter. First category in our WWR, the awe factor, 1 to 5, 5 being just like 1 being blech.
You know, Yellowstone to me will always be a 5.
For awe factor.
Yeah, because, well, one, I've never done it in a winter. And the fox and coyote alone, that awe factor for me, boom, through the roof. Just because it was like, I've never seen that before. This is what they actually cover in nature documentaries. And it makes sense because you can go see it. really cool. Jared is someone that is really hard to please, and to see him have a little bit of awe there too while we're looking and doing these things, definitely for me, I like going to Yellowstone, going with people that haven't been in a while or never been, because you do get you see their awe, and that's part of it for me. So I honestly I give it a 5. Yeah, perfect day, great day.
We got the 5 in the awe factor. Crowds. 5 being like no crowds, 1 being like you're at Black Friday.
I'm gonna give it a 3 here, because that's the only road open in the park that time of year, is the drive from Gardner, Montana, Mammoth, all the way to Cook City. And that's also because that road is used for the Cook City residents to leave Cook City in the winter. They can't take the Beartooth Pass because that closed Labor Day. I think they can go into Cody, Wyoming through the Chief Joseph Highway. Another beautiful highway if you haven't done that. But they get to like Livingston and whatnot, and all those people that go snowmobiling from Bozeman and Billings and stuff. They go through Livingston down to Gardner, through Mammoth over to Cook City. So you have a lot of snowmobile traffic on this highway, and like they're those kind of people. They're kind of assholes when they drive. They got the jacked up trucks, and I got because it's that type of personality that goes snowmobiling Cook City, because Cook City is one of those places where you have to have an avalanche pack to go snowmobiling there. Okay. Like not optional. It's have to, or we won't let you.
Yeah.
And so they're driving their jacked up trucks, just kind of racing through the park. So I don't appreciate that. You're in a park, go the speed limit, be safe. There's wildlife. There's a reason we're keeping this space nice. I get it. You want to go snowmobiling. Snowmobiling's fun. I love it too. Just be a little more respectful. And then there are the tourists, and I think there's two different type of tourists that I saw in the winter. Is you have the like photographer type, the wolfers, the people that are there all year round.
Yeah.
They're mixed in there. So they're going slow, they're taking their time, they're posted up at like places for long periods of time. And then you get like your normal tourist, because I saw some cars from Florida and Georgia and Mississippi and places like that. You're like, wow, in December, this is really cool that you're up here, but kind of crazy too. And they don't really know what to do, one, on the snowy roads. And they also, I think you get that tourist feel of there's no one here. So I'm going to park like this, and then you realize, 10, 15 minutes later, oh, there are other people here, and I'm blocking traffic. I'm being the dumb tourist that I'm asked not to be on all the papers that they hand you at the gate.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think, I was surprised when you said 3, but after listening you explain it, kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I could imagine if the whole park, like, for example, say they plowed all the roads in the park and you could get everywhere. I mean, that would be a bitch because they'd be doing it daily.
Yeah.
So it would, I think it would be a little less people. But yeah, to me, like, yeah, we still found moments where it was just us, but you would be in that moment of just you, and a car would pull up or a car would pass you. So
fair. Next one, I mean, you've kind of touched on it already. So I'm anticipating a high star rating here, but the chance of seeing wildlife, 5 being just crazy, 1 being it's not really habitable.
I mean, I'm going to say 5 because like Yellowstone was alive.
Yeah.
Because we saw more than just that fox and coyote. I mean, we saw elk, we saw antelope, tons of bison. More coyotes kind of running around doing their thing. We saw the wolfers doing their thing, and
yeah,
sure as shit, we get the spotting scope out, we can spot some dots. But for me, Yeah, I would say 5 because I mean we saw them everywhere in Yellowstone. I think for this survey alone that we kind of do, or our rating system, our Wandering Ways review, um, we uh, we really talk about I think the wildlife factor in this category. Kind of Yellowstone for me is that 5 already. Like
Yeah.
I take that one and then I put like Indiana Sand Dunes National Park or National Lake Shore. Like that one to me would be the 1-0 because it's like I didn't see shit. I saw sand and lake.
Yeah, right. No, I think we've talked about how, like, Yellowstone is very wildlife oriented. So
I love about and nature and Yellowstone is the greatest place on the planet in my book. That's why I proposed to Thea there. That is why I go there 2 to 5 times a year.
so why he put it as number 1 in his top 5 parks, which you can check out that episode of the Wandering Ways podcast. Just go to the link below.
Yeah, no, I like that. No, that's awesome. But yeah, Yellowstone's cool. I mean, you got to experience wild. I'm curious. When you were in West Yellowstone, did you get any wildlife?
Oh yeah, I mean, we saw the buffalo. We saw a ton of coyotes doing. I think we saw like 3 separate coyotes doing their little jumping into the snow for the mice type deal. So I mean, for sure, there were wildlife, but we were over on the geysers, so we were at all we went to Old Faithful, seeing all the different hot pots, all that stuff. In that part, there's not a whole lot of wildlife normally, other than the buffalo.
Was that your family's first time in Yellowstone?
Um, I want to say yes.
Did they like it?
Oh yeah, they loved it.
Oh, good.
They loved
Good.
it. My nieces loved it too. So, it was a blast.
Cool. Cool.
Going on to the next category of the Wandering Ways review, we're going to talk about views. What were the views like? 5 being like just jaw-dropping views, 1 being to like it's kind of the same the whole time.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna give it a 4.
4.
Just because it's still up there. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't want to be that guy and be handing out 5s all day. But it was beautiful day. It was sunny out, which I don't think you get a lot of sunny days in the park like that in the winter with snow where the roads are kind of clean. So that was awesome to experience. Watching the animals, because I think when it was sunny out there, like, yeah, let's eat, let's enjoy our day kind of thing. Let's make time with this heat, because we're getting heat from the sun right now. So I think that was really cool. You saw the mountains with the snow in them, just beautiful. I mean, Yellowstone Park is so beautiful anyway. Like, it's really hard to not get that jaw-dropping look.
Yeah.
But I didn't get to see the whole park either.
Fair.
So I'm not getting all the jaw-dropping views. I'm getting that same Lamar Valley one, but to me, the Lamar is the best. So I like it.
Dig it.
And Gardner and Jardine, right up on the hill there, always beautiful.
Next category, what's the accessibility like? We got great accessibility, that'd be our 5. To you really got to have special equipment, got to be a healthy person type at 1.
I'm gonna go middle ground 3 here, for 2 reasons. The first being it's the winter in Yellowstone, so if you're not getting your ass out of your car, yeah, it's accessible because really there's no roads open other than the main road. A lot of the buildings and stuff are closed. A lot of the ranger stations are closed, and certain ones are open, but they are mostly, for the most part, closed. So you're not really getting out doing a lot. But we did see cross-country skiers.
Oh.
We saw runners. We saw snowshoers.
Huh.
up by kind of Cook City, closer to Cook City, up that valley there. And yeah, they're enjoying the park, having a good time. And so if you're doing that, you need to be able-bodied and you need to be able to do that. I wouldn't go cross-country skiing for the first time where these people were cross-country skiing. You are in grizzly country. You are in kind of a mountainy area where a cliff could just pop out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I say that, kind of know what you're doing, because these guys, they look like experts. They look like they knew what they were doing. You know, start on a golf course near your house if you want to cross-country ski or horseshoe for the first time. There probably are different tours and places that offer that kind of stuff. I don't think Cook City does. I think that's more of a West Yellowstone thing. So the accessibility, that's why I give it a 3. Because I mean, if you're just sitting in your car, yeah,
Totally fair. Totally fair.
Yeah.
Second to last category here. This is always a fun one to hear. What's the chance of seeing Bigfoot? What's our Squatch chance?
You know, going back to our Bigfoot researcher we interviewed, he gave us some information about Bigfoot's liking to look down upon you. I think in the Lamar Valley, there is a potential for that, where Sasquatches could observe humans up there. There's not a lot of humans up there. There's also bears and other creatures and bobcats and cougars and foxes and coyotes. So there is a sustainable food source for him. There's water sources up there. I'm going to give it a 3 because I have not personally seen any Bigfoot evidence, as well as I have not heard any stories, but who's to say they're similar, like up there, the type of weather you get would be similar to like the Himalayas and like the Yeti. So that could be, so that's why I'm saying 3. Possible, but.
I see it. I dig it. You know, getting a lot more scientific with it.
Right.
Last category, you know, the big one. What was the overall takeaway, the overall trip? How would you rate this winter trip to Yellowstone?
Oh, 5 out of 5. I love Yellowstone. I will keep going back. This trip made me want to go back. It made me want to buy a $6,000 camera lens. So please listen to our episodes. Tell your friends, tell your grandma, tell your mom. We want you to listen because we need this camera lens so we can deliver you the best goddamn wildlife photos from Yellowstone Park in the winter. And I will make it happen. So 5 out of 5. It was beautiful. The experiences were beautiful. And just hanging out with Jared, you know, we were sitting there and we're like, it's a Saturday. We don't got nothing to do tomorrow. Just take our time. Let's actually sit here for 45 minutes and enjoy this fox and not do anything. You know, there was no end goal. There was no destination.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I think that was really fun. And yeah, that was our time.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm jealous you got to go out to Yellowstone in the winter. It was such a cool experience when I did it. So it's sweet to see you and see all the photos doing it. That's gonna kind of lead us into our final words. Unless we got anything exciting, but you know, just hop into our final words, huh?
Yeah, I'm curious. It sounds like you're going to a place in Washington upcoming soon with your family. I'm curious to hear what kind of outdoor adventure activity you find yourself in. Also, I think it would be appropriate to announce that Mark's got a job, everybody.
Yeah, but by the time this is out, I'll already be down there working.
Well, they need to know.
It's not fair to really announce it on here.
But we already recorded the other episodes, so
yeah,
this is their first time learning about it. Our listeners, you know, Mark, he talked about working at a food cart, living at his parents' house, going through the struggles of COVID. He's got a job. He's got money, so now he can spend that money to go visit you. So tell us your favorite park and where we can meet you in that park so he could go visit you.
Yeah. But anyways, let's go into our final words. So you got any final words, my guy?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of thinking about this one, because it kind of goes back. It really goes back to our just do it kind of mentality, right?
Yeah.
So yesterday I went to the dentist, and they looked over my teeth, did my teeth cleaning, all that kind of fun stuff that you do, and the dentist was like, "Wow, you've done a really good job since last time. Like, what are you doing different?" I said, "I'm flossing my teeth twice a day." And he goes, "That'll do it. Good. Keep up. Just keep doing that, And for me, it's that mentality of like, I listened to the expert. The expert said, floss your teeth, brush your teeth, do this, do that, right? You're going to have clean teeth. When I listened to the expert, I followed his instructions and directions. I got the results I wanted. Same thing goes with, camping, hunting, hiking, fishing, any outdoor adventure you do, right? It's the time you put into it, forcing yourself to go to these parks, forcing yourself to climb that mountain, to climb the next one, the one after that. Because, once you're a week in, 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, you're like, I've been doing it a month now. I've 2 months. Like, it's easy. 2 seconds out of my day, or it's this. I think that's the mentality. We're so afraid of that change. But once you make that change, repetition and habit, there's so much more room for accomplishments. So I really think just go do it. And if you want to do it, you're the only person that can do it for yourself, that will do it for yourself, or no one else is going to pick, you see trash on the ground, no one else is going to pick that trash up. So you pick it up, or you do that. Like, just have that mentality with everything. That was a little long one.
It's all good. That's why they're final words. It's anything we want. But I dig it. Reverend's final words of wisdom today. I got two quotes. One to kind of just piggyback off Zach there, but the journey of 1,000 steps begins with a single step. So you just got to start, and you got to start, go out and do it in order to get that journey done. The other quote I got today: a tree with strong roots can withstand the most violent storm, but the tree can't grow roots just as the storm appears in the horizon. So, you got to build that base. You got to start early. You can't expect you to gain knowledge, gain the whatever skills right at when you need it. It starts with the single step.
Well, I like your root one too, because I look at that too, like your family, right? Your family is a good base. Not everyone has that, but you can create those type of people in your lives. And I think your mental health is definitely one of those things you need to take care of. And not a lot of people think that way or do that. So do that, focus on that, because that's what helps you stand those strong storms. Don't get knocked over.
Exactly. You guys are beautiful and amazing. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate all of our listens and everything like that. That being said, peace out, everybody.
Bye.